All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick's on the Power. So I thought an interesting comparison video for you guys would be a comparison between the professional wrestler Andre the Giant and professional bodybuilder Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, the reason I thought this would be an interesting comparison is because both of them basically hit the peak of their popularity during the same era, the early 80s, late 70s. Now, Arnold Schwarzenegger, obviously the most well-known bodybuilder in the world throughout the 70s and 80s, and Andre the Giant, arguably one of the most well-known professional wrestlers in the world throughout the 70s and 80s, maybe alongside Hulk Hogan. So Arnold Schwarzenegger's bodybuilding career would come to an end in 1980, where he would win his final of 7 Mr. Olympias at the 1980 Mr. Olympia. And of course, Andre the Giant is probably most well known for his WrestleMania 3 appearance versus Hulk Hogan in 1987. Now, Arnold's film career was pretty much at its peak throughout the late 80s, filming things like Predator, Commando. Of course, you have the Terminator, and then you have the early Conan the Barbarian movies in the early 80s. So really, they were both, the pinnacle of human physical specimens. Again, Arnold being the biggest bodybuilder, and of course, Andre the Giant being by far the biggest professional wrestler, if not one of the biggest humans of that time period. So first, I'll give you guys a simple size comparison. So the cool thing about this is because they came from the same era, Andre and Arnold were actually friends during that time. So there's a lot of photos that you can actually find of both Arnold and Andre in the same picture, where you can get a good size comparison, how much bigger Andre really was than Arnold Schwarzenegger. So Andre the Giant stood between 7'4" and 7'5" tall, weighing in at approximately 550 pounds, or roughly 250 kilograms. Now, Arnold Schwarzenegger at his biggest as a competitive bodybuilder in competition condition was roughly 250 pounds, or 113 kilograms. And standing at a height of roughly 6'2", but some people claim he was shorter than that. Obviously, today he's no longer 6'2". And in the photos next to Andre, he certainly looks to be at least 1.5 feet shorter than Andre the Giant. So probably closer to 6 foot is about how tall Arnold was. So not even half of what Andre the Giant weighed, weighing in at 550 pounds. Arnold Schwarzenegger weighing in at 250 at his biggest. And that's not even to take into account that during his film career, Arnold Schwarzenegger had to size down a little bit because they didn't want him to be that big. He was a little bit too big for Hollywood, so he sized down. He was probably closer to 225, 230 during his film career in Hollywood, if that. So next, I want to compare how strong Arnold was versus how strong Andre the Giant was. Now, the thing about this is that we got to remember is that Arnold Schwarzenegger trained specifically for powerlifting. He's competed in powerlifting. He's competed in Olympic weightlifting. And obviously, as a competitive bodybuilder, there's a significant amount of weight training that goes into that. Now, Andre the Giant was a different kind of strong. He was just one of those guys that was naturally strong. He obviously was a massive human being at 550 pounds. So there's a lot of natural strength that would be associated with that. But Arnold was training for his strength. So it's important to keep that in mind when comparing the two of them. So there are two sets of numbers that we can choose to look at here for Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, he did compete in powerlifting in his early 20s and late teens. So there are verifiable powerlifting numbers that we can pull up for him when he competed that he actually set in competition. But Arnold also has a list of numbers that he claims were his best lifts in the gym, but not necessarily judged in competition. Now, since Andre the Giant never competed in an official powerlifting meet, we're going to take Arnold's gym lifts that he claims were his best, then Andre the Giant's gym lifts that he claims were their best, because really neither one of them are verifiable by a judge. So it'd be unfair to do, Arnold's best powerlifting meet lifts, because Andre doesn't have that same standard to his lifts. So we're going to compare both their gym lifts here. So first, let's go ahead and compare the bench press. So Andre the Giant and other wrestlers have verified and testified to this, that Andre the Giant could bench press 455 pounds on an incline bench for 5 reps. So there is actually a formula that you can use to calculate what your 1 rep max should be based on the number of reps that you can get a given weight. If you take 455 for 5 reps and say that's 85% of his 1 rep max, then theoretically his flat bench should be 630 pounds for 1 rep. But if you use 80% in that equation, so assuming 455 pounds is only 80% of what Andre the Giant can lift, his 1 rep max will be roughly 700 pounds. So Arnold Schwarzenegger, his best gym lift at the bench press was 500 pounds. And in a powerlifting meet, Arnold Schwarzenegger's best bench press was only 440.9 pounds. So if you do use Arnold's powerlifting number, then Andre would be significantly stronger than Arnold. Because again, Andre benched for 5 reps, 445 pounds, which is 5 pounds heavier than Arnold's best 1 rep max at the bench press in a powerlifting meet. Now, there's actually never been documentation of Andre the Giant squatting, so of the big 3 lifts, bench press, deadlift, and squat, we can really only compare the bench press and the deadlift. So there's only one example that I could find of Andre the Giant performing some kind of deadlift. So in this particular deadlift, he essentially has a bar attached to what is claimed to be a 2,000-pound weight. And he does sort of a partial rep of a deadlift and lifts the 2,000 pounds off the ground. So just to give you guys some perspective on that, Arnold Schwarzenegger's best deadlift in a competition was 683.4 pounds. And his best deadlift that he claims in the gym was 710 pounds. So even though it was a partial rep, Andre the Giant still deadlifted or lifted straight off the ground nearly 3 times the most that Arnold could ever deadlift. Now let's say even if it was only 1,000 pounds, or we want to cut that weight in half because he only lifted a partial rep, he's still lifting 300 to 500 pounds more than Arnold Schwarzenegger. So that's the video, guys. I hope you guys found it fascinating. I thought it was a fascinating comparison, taking the world's best bodybuilder from that era and arguably the world's biggest human from that era, and just comparing them to give you guys some perspective on how big Andre really was in light of the documentary coming out about Andre the Giant's life. Obviously, unfortunately, Andre the Giant passed away back in 1993. So with that documentary coming out, I kind of want to do my own little video on Andre the Giant because I was a big fan of his. He was very entertaining. And he was really just a great wrestler. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.